We're live.
Hi, this is Paul Jenkins, writer, director, producer, bon vivant, and you are on Splash Pages.
Is the one obvious thing.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an amazing show scheduled for you as always. And with that, we'll kick it on over to Carrie. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. It's going better than it has been the past couple of weeks. I'm finally overcoming my pneumonia. So, yes, we are excited about this. But yeah, I'm here. We have on the second person I've heard refer to themselves as a bon vivant in my life, but also within a 2-month period of time that wasn't talking about Les Miserables. Anyway, I'm excited to talk to him tonight. So let's go and see how Jar's doing.
Jar.
Make our way around. Jar!
Hey, everybody. I'm having... How's it going? Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Hello? Oh, okay.
Hi.
I was like, oh, you confused me. I'm doing well. Oh, I'm really excited for tonight. I read a lot. I felt like Carrie over the weekend, just devouring worlds that our guest has written for.
Awesome.
Now over to Drew.
Mr. Drew.
Hey, I'm Drew, and it's true. Rhymes are cool. But I'm not Etrigan, so in no point. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday. Thank you again for deciding not to listen to your air conditioning hum as it pumps cool vibes into your room in this very hot day. But we're here and we have an absolutely fantastic guest. I had the pleasure of getting to meet him in 2016, and I'm so glad that we got him on years later. Still producing awesome content. He's done a lot for Marvel, DC, and a couple of independent publishers as well. You've probably seen his work on Hellblazer, The Sentry, his award-winning work on Inhumans, The Incredible Hulk, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, a bunch of other things as well, including some New 52 as well. But why let him tell you about it? Everybody, the one, the only, the fresh from San Diego Comic-Con, Mr. Paul Jenkins.
Hi guys. I don't know if it's possible to be fresh in San Diego, because San Diego is like literally like being an apple and just getting pounded with a baseball bat. So I'm not as fresh as you guys would like me to be, but I'm ready to go and got myself a drink. So I'm up for any questions. Ask me difficult math problems. And one of the things I should say, by the way, before we get into this is. You guys talked a lot about my comic work, but of course I spent many years, I probably delivered 6 platinum selling video games. So I work a lot in games and animation and all that stuff as well. So ask me stuff about that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Totally.
So, but I mean, Paul, don't worry. I mean, if there are things we don't get to, we could always have you back on again. So, there's always, Jenkins Pot do. So, whatever works, it's all good. But no, we'll cover it all. We'll do our best to be diverse. And Carrie, glad to see you're feeling better. Jar, don't know what you're doing. And Leo, you're here. So good. Yeah, I know. Good, we covered that. I don't know. I don't want to start. So you know what, Jeremy, you were the Carrie this week. Where do you want to start?
Oh, you don't want to start? I got a question for Paul about.
I'm going to let you go, big guy.
This is a big thing.
Yes. Yeah, this
True,
is
not talking.
I would love to know how San Diego went, really. Like, how did it go for you? I'm talking. I am.
I'm proud of you.
Can you not hear me? I'm talking.
Yeah, San Diego was fine. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm
going to drop out and come back on.
Okay. All right, fine. Well, Paul, keep talking. It's fine.
I will. Yeah, you let me know. Cue me in again.
You're good.
Yeah, no, San Diego was good. I spent the beginning of the week at the premiere of Fantastic Four. A little bit more of my life these days is dedicated to being in the public eye a little bit. I have a bunch of new projects coming up. There are some actual comic projects coming up that I don't do as many as I used to. I work across different media, but Fantastic Four premiere was really good. I got a chance. One of the things that's really cool about doing, if I have to do red carpet events, which is not really my style, I usually try to take a friend of mine who would be thrilled to be on the red carpet. So I took a lovely friend of mine, Desiree. She's an Army vet. She's done 3 combat tours, and she had the time of her life walking down the red carpet. She has this most beautiful dog called Sydney, who is very well-trained service dog, and Sydney knows how to sit up and sort of like take photos and stuff like that. So basically, Desiree and I stood to one side while Sydney ran the red carpet. It was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. And then I went down to San Diego, and it's no word of a lie. Like it's almost like you work 20 straight hours and then you sleep for 4, and then you wake up and you work 20 more. It's fine. It's not a complaint, but it's definitely pretty taxing on your brain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, something that I would want to ask you about, because one of our members of our network is a huge Turtles fan, is kind of where it started. Is that you were working as an editor, production manager, and you got to work on editing Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's work on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
and that working with them, seeing how that really kind of taught you a lot about creator rights. And I believe, if I'm correct, you witnessed the drafting of what is called the Creator Bill of Rights, something like that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic time, right? So I had come from Great Britain and I'd met the guys. I was a musician at the time, and that means that you're basically waiting on tables. You're not really, but we were doing okay. And those guys did an album cover for us. I'd met them in Northampton, Massachusetts, and so as is very typical of me, I broke my leg playing football, and I couldn't really go with the band. I couldn't really do much, and so I knew the guys, and I asked them, is there any chance I could maybe get a job with you guys? Because I know you're busy. They had sold the rights to the toys in the TV show, so now it's beginning to happen. And so they were upstairs in a very, very tiny building above a cafe called the Iron Horse Cafe.
Right.
I went up there, I started working with them. Next thing you know, 2 or 3 months had gone by, and this thing is just blowing up. And we had no idea of the cultural phenomenon that it would be, but I got kind of like a trial by fire. I was very young, And next thing I know, I'm working in probably the single biggest licensing phenomenon of all time at the time. And I think you either sink or swim. I've said this many times, and I was able to swim. I could deal with it. So I was an editor. I worked as in the end, when I went to Tundra, which is Kevin's publishing house,
Right.
became the editor in chief. I was director of licensing, director of publishing. I learned all of that side of the business before I was a writer.
Yeah, and I mean, you worked with some of the comic book greats. I mean, Moore, Gaiman, McKean, Pratt. I mean, God, I can only imagine some of the cool stories or maybe conversations you might have had.
Yeah.
Just fly on the wall kind of wishes for a fan.
Yeah. I mean, I got to work with Alan a lot. He was a lovely guy. He is a lovely guy, and I was the editor on Big Numbers, which is this kind of fated project that never actually got finished. It fell to pieces. But I was the original series editor on From Hell. I just ran into Eddie Campbell at San Diego, and I chatted with Eddie for a little bit and said, "Hey, Eddie, this is mad about how far it comes around, but I was the original series editor before I took over Hellblazer from you." So it was kind of like a cool time. I got to work with everybody, and frankly, the strangest part of it has been that I would often be at conventions, and those guys would be. I'd be on the other side of the table, like helping protect them from fans, basically. And a few years went by, and when I wrote the origin of Wolverine, I remember George Pratt and Dave McKean sitting at the end of an aisle to protect me from fans like running all over me. And I was like, it's crazy how this has gone around in a circle. Once I was a kid and now suddenly you guys are having to literally barricade the end of the hallway. So it's such a strange kind of life,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you said two magic words that I know. I saw Carrie light up a little bit. So, Carrie, I assume I know what you're going to talk about. So, go for it.
So From Hell, if I could ask about that really quick.
I noticed.
Loved it. Jar?
Oh, I think we're.
Okay.
I think we're.
But so From Hell,
I probably should just drop out.
No, just come back.
I love Alan Moore, and I love how he writes. But Jesus Christ, did that take for? I mean, and I'm a huge my whole top shelf over there is all true crime, mostly Jack the Ripper stuff.
Mm.
I am a Jack the Ripper aficionado. But how? I mean, was there any way you could have possibly limited him on okay, so there's. You're writing 7 times the comic book in the intro notes and explaining in detail. It was fascinating, and it's great. I love the history, and he was so accurate, and of course, because he's not going to mess it up. But was there any way to be do you just not say no to Alan Moore, or how does that go?
I look at it like this. I don't think you have to say no to Alan, right? There's nothing to say no to. I think that he writes his scripts, and he used to write scripts in a particular way. For one thing, he didn't care about computers, so he'd write them on a typewriter. I had these massive scripts that would come in, and Alan's way of writing a script would be okay, there's some flowers in the foreground. One of them's called Jim, the other one's called Jennifer. They got 3 kids. This is madness, right? But it's not really, because that's the way that Alan's brain works, right? He thinks of everything. He can see it so very clearly in his mind. Now, you're right, Kari, that is absolutely true of Alan, that he would do all the work it takes to research everything that he could. He was not needing to sensationalize anything. And he went with the best available information at the time, right? Yeah. I think more information has come out since that time. I think Alan was positing particular kind of people in the book, and I don't want to spoil anything in the book. But, he had certain ideas about who it could be. And I've had the privilege of having some really long conversations with Alan about Jack the Ripper and what his methodology was. Suffice to say that Alan being Alan, he put everything into making sure that he didn't screw it up.
Yeah. Oh, all the sun's gods and the religious, and I guess it would be more mythological than religion. You cross, one man's mythology is another man's religion, so it comes through with that. But when he got all of that in place, it was like I hadn't read that in a lot of the books that I have, and it was just fascinating seeing that. But knowing at the same time, some of those things I just hadn't associated them with the Ripper because, and it was just like, oh wow, I've never laid out the map and looked at it exactly like this before. It was just fascinating.
Yeah.
And there were 3.
There's 3 of us now.
So everybody's dropping off. Oh, there we got a Drew back.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to adjust it. It turns. Sorry. No, I was listening. Everything was fantastic.
So
Probably
I just it hasn't been so much fun with everybody, and you bring a certain darkness with you as well. So I guess not.
There's an interesting element to that. I'm not so sure. I am not, unlike you, I'm not particularly thrilled by horror in a way, right? I like psychological horror. I like mysterious things. I like supernatural thrillers. When it comes to out-and-out horror, I don't find it as interesting because I think that the stuff behind my work is almost always 100% built on the psychology and on the people. Yeah. And so I don't particularly need to get too far into visceral visual kind of horror. But at the same time, there is plenty of places for it, right? That when you use it correctly, and this is where I compliment Alan and really good writers in it. If I'm going to use that kind of thing, I want to do it in such a way that it moves your emotions, not in such a way that it just is there and there's lots of blood and guts. Right? I don't think there's anything appealing about that whatsoever.
Right.
That was something I noticed with we read your Sentry, and it's so isolated, and that to me was a bit of a horror story because everybody's trying to figure out what happened. Why are we locked up? I don't want to spoil for people who haven't read it. It's been out for 20-some years, but
Carrie,
still.
It's been 20-something years. Like, with all due respect, we can spoil some things. Hold on.
There's just
no, hold on. Spoil. Bob was the void. Okay, there you go.
See that image right there? I think I have that right next to me. It's over there somewhere. The first page. I just wanted the first page that he appears on right there. I have that one sitting on the side over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's so isolating, and that's you do that really well. And I loved your Hulk. He was beautiful. I have a big soft spot for the Hulk. So
she does now. And there were a few moments in the Sentry that I particularly enjoyed. But I also wanted to touch briefly on some stuff that you did with Jae earlier. I believe your first collaboration together was Inhumans, right, Paul? Yeah. First thing,
that's really good too.
I know very little about the Inhumans, so I kind of had to relearn some of it reading your series. But I just got to say, what you in the long game for that, because the whole time I'm like, where's this? Like, you just had all these beautiful plot points that just were fantastic. But I sort of got the issue that got me was issue 9.
Oh, wait! You're about to become my favorite person.
There you go.
Have no idea. I've talked about that issue so many times and about how that series came about.
Right.
Well done.
Yeah. No. The issue 9, that just got me because it was such a human story with the kid and the I can't remember his name, but essentially what they
Triton.
Yeah, thank you. Triton. Yeah, with the merman. Yeah. And the history weaving, that was just like, especially at the end. I was like, wow, what a story. Like, I thought that was just, I was like, oh man, because I'm a sucker, just like Carrie, in a way. I'm a sucker for historical, tying in history with superheroes. But that was great. And then I loved how you used the Terragenesis to kind of explain the kind of like the downfall of the classism of the Inhumans, because again, you're judged on your mutation.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved you had that group of friends who, you know, one looked like she had just some base mutation. The other one, oh, I'm a flyer. It's the first one in 30 years. And they're besties. And like, hey, do you still want to hang out? And I'm like, I don't think so. And then later on, that came full circle. And I was like, at the same moment happened. Oh, do you want to hang out? I don't think so. I was like, wow.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead if you had a question.
Oh, no. Those were two, like, I mean, the whole thing was great. And Carrie definitely wants to talk to you about Lockjaw in a minute, because she loved that. Yeah. But I just would love to just pick your brain about, you know, especially issue 9, because that just, I was like, wow, what an issue.
Well, before we get to issue 9, I know you're showing it, so let me tell you what happened. Sure. This is something that I've spoken about many times, but it's either annoying to people or they kind of understand it. I am not a big student of the history of comics. I don't know anything. And so when Jay called me up and said, hey, you know, he and I were talking about working together on Hellblazer or Hellshock Hellblazer crossover. And it came about, and Jay said, hey, you know, Joe and Jimmy, who we knew from Event Comics, have taken over a little imprint over at Marvel, and they asked me to come in, and I thought, well, it'd be great to work with you, Paul. You know, and do you want to do the Inhumans? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. Who are they? Never heard of them. And I was like you, right? So they sent me 2 5-page stories by Jack Kirby, and I told them, don't send me anymore. I get this is cool. And what I was able to do was to look at it and go, wait a minute, you know, Black Bolt can't speak and he's the king. That's such a metaphor for when you are the head of state and you're not really supposed to speak your mind. And look at all the madness that's going on right now with people screaming and yelling in politics. You know, it doesn't help when there's all of that stuff happening, right? The Terrigenesis was such a metaphor for puberty. You get your little kids, you pinky swear, like, we're best friends forever. And then you turn around and you suddenly say to your friend, look, I don't think we can hang out, because you grow up, you go through puberty and you grow up. And so they couldn't be. And it was a power-based society. So that basically the more important your power, the more important you were in status. And so there was a little character that we did called Toy. He was like Rexel Toyven, his name was. And he was like a little dude. And he lived at the end of town, and his only power was that he could put tattoos on people with his fingers. And so it wasn't a very important power. So he lived in a really shitty part of town. And when it came time to the battle, he gives his life. Right. So it was all about like, it was about patriotism, it was about family. So let me address the one that you've got, because I actually do. If you can bring it up on screen again, that'd be amazing. But let me tell you a little bit about issue 9.
Sure.
What happened at the time was that people lost their minds. I think the first one came out, people liked it. The second one came out about the kids, and people, it was like the internet of the time blew up. Oh my God, this is the greatest comic we've ever read. And I was confused, like, this is no better or worse than any other comic I've done, but wow, what's happening, right? And then issue 3 came out, and that was even better, and issue 4, and so people were losing their minds, right? It was clear we had something that no one had expected. And in the end, yes, we were lucky. We won an Eisner, which was lovely, right?
Of course.
But I like stacking single issues on top of each other, so you can read the issue and love it, and then walk away from it and just say, I like that one issue. But you can stack 12 of them on and get this big saga, I hope. And that's kind of like what I intended with Inhumans, yeah? And when it came time to issue 9, people were so full of praise for Inhumans that there wasn't really anything else they could say. And so issue 9 came out, and they were like, yeah, that's cool, another good issue. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the best one. It's like a heartbreaking issue. First of all, my grandfather was on a merchant Navy ship that sunk, right? So he lost a lot of his mates. And, you know, it's very poignant and meaningful to me. But it was about wartime, right? It was about the man's inhumanity to man. And Triton, the main character, is trying to explain to people, look, you know, we see the nobility of men, and so we can't judge any of it, right? They're just like us.
Right.
And in the story, you know, you can see that Triton basically witnesses the sinking of the Lusitania.
Right.
And so Lusitania was awful. It went down within minutes. It listed to one side. There was lots of questions as to whether or not it was carrying munitions from America. The actual belief is that's not what happened. It got hit with a torpedo, and it was right near the end of its journey, and there was a lot of coal dust in the air. There wasn't very much coal, and that's why it hit, and then there was a secondary explosion because the coal dust probably ignited and blew the bottom of the ship out, right?
Right.
So Triton witnesses it, and he ends up saving a little boy, and the grandfather can't save the little boy, but Triton can, and so he takes the little boy to shore. It was just off the coast of Ireland, and then he comes back, and everyone's gone, right? And the Lusitania sunk. And so why it was poignant is because for all these years, the little boy has basically come to the edge of the water every year and just looked out and tried to find the mermaid that saved his life.
Yeah. I mean, it was, oh my God, it was just so beautiful, especially that end when he's just getting wheeled away. And so I was like, oh, I'm still waiting for mermaids. And I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I was just like, broken. Leave me be. Give me 5.
Yeah.
No, it was fantastic. That I had to bring up both of those points because those, like, the whole thing was fantastic. But those two really stuck out to me. But again, me and Carrie were talking earlier, and she was asking me questions about Lockjaw, and because I'm like the Grunenwald of the group. So normally I was like, who is this? I'm like, oh, it's this person. What do they do? This, and that, and that. Okay, good, thanks. I'm like, yep, no, yeah, go. I'm that phone a friend. If you get asked a comic book question, and I was like, oh, it's issue 189. Okay, good.
Nice.
So, Carrie, what did you have to say about Lockjaw? I believe it's how adorable he is, and that.
Oh yeah, no, I just thought he was adorable. What you mentioned, Toy as well, and that was just crushing. It was beautiful. I loved. He's just like, you look at this poor guy who got like kind of shunted away because he wasn't powerful, but he's like, I'm doing my best so that my parents will still be happy. He'll have a big happy for me, but the reason I'm tying those two together is because Lockjaw had about a similar level of intelligence, I think.
Yeah.
He spoke more in dogese, but it was like, I do this to make things happy. Why is this happening? I don't know, but I will do this because I love them. And they both were loyal and had this like just determination to make other people happy and do what they could. And
Carrie, also, we have to mention that Lockjaw had a thing, play toy.
Yes, that was adorable.
Well, we simply put him in the middle of the war, and we let him be a dog.
Yep.
So at one point he's sort of walking around and he's like, hey, does anyone want to play with me? And everyone's like so busy with the war that they can't. And then he kind of goes to get something to eat. And then he goes outside to pee, and he ends up peeing on Timberius, one of the Inhumans. It looks like a tree. That was pretty good, actually. But then, and he's sort of like happy, and then he's like, and then he wants to go to sleep. And then the last one is that he just goes in, and poor old Black Bolt is just unable to do anything because he can't use his voice, and he can't stop the human advance, right? And all Lockjaw does is just kind of sit with him and
hug.
That was another isolationist thing through the whole story. I'm just like, get a speak and spell, write a note. Oh my God, you keep all of this bottled up inside of you. I couldn't understand why he didn't. And then by the end, I'm like, oh, okay. He couldn't just tell everybody stuff, but.
Well, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you guys something about the Inhumans, and many people have asked me this. Before I did Inhumans, people said it never worked, right? They said we were never going to make that work. It had never taken on. People couldn't make it work. Since that time, people have been frustrated because they couldn't make it work. They couldn't make the TV show work, and I could tell you in a second why they couldn't make it work. But well, it's so I'm a Brit, right? And I look at it with this kind of reverence and need of American comic book fans, where they're like, I want Spider-Man to punch Dr. Octopus, and then they have this great fight. And it's all like, yeah, it's cool, but that's not the reason, right? Mm-hmm. The why of it, the whole point of Black Bolt is he can't speak. And every writer before me and every writer since me has had him speak so that shit would blow up, so that they could show the visual. And that's literally against the point of the character. I'm the only writer that ever basically didn't make him speak.
Right.
No one else could make it stick.
So So let me ask this, just out of curiosity, because Black Bolt, internally, whoever the narrator, whether it was Black Bolt, Crystal, or whomever, they were talking about what would you say if you could have him say any word. Have you ever thought about what it would be?
Yeah, it says it at the end.
Oh, right.
He looks at all of his subjects and he says, if you could just say what you'd say to him, relax.
Boom. See, this is when you have to think about your question before you ask it, because it's already there. So, Jar, do you have?
Jar does have a question. I'm gonna kind of read it out because we're texting. But the question was the end of the story always going to be the way that I went, or did I wrestle with other conclusions? And in fact, no, it was the way that I was going to go. I'm very meticulous. It's very rare for me to change the end of a story.
Mm-hmm.
I have done it when I've seen a target of opportunity in the story.
Right.
I have a story that I did with Boom that's one of my favorites that I doubt that many people have seen. Because it had a really bad title. It was called Deathmatch. And it was like the Hunger Games of superheroes. There were 32 of them, and they take each other out, and they don't know why they're doing it, but they're told why just before they go into the arena. And then one of them has to kill the other one, and then they're made to forget when they come out of the arena, right? And so they literally go through it, and it's really one of the most intelligent and clever stories that I've ever done, but it kind of was seen as being superhero massacre, and it really wasn't that. So that one, I got to issue 10 and I called up my editor and I said, I just worked out what I could do with issue 11 and you're not going to believe this. And they went, that's genius. So I completely changed what that did. And then once I'd written issue 11, I said, you're not going to believe this. I think I've just created something else. And I wrote a different issue 12 as well. That's very rare. Usually I go from the beginning. I know exactly where I'm going because you're supposed to know where you're going.
Right. Well, again, hands down, fantastic. And then kind of bring back to Sentry, I definitely agree with what Carrie was saying earlier. I mean, it definitely had that horror movie vibe, this impending of what did we forget? And there were a couple of images that I remember I had pulled aside that I wanted to kind of bring up. Carrie or Leo, I don't know which one of you I would ask to do that. So
I sent them to Leo, but there's like 29 of them, so you're gonna have to be slightly specific on which one you want to see.
Yep.
Because
yeah, that's true. I did put aside a lot.
You didn't label them, so.
Well, I tried. I thought I did. The Sentry ones. There's only like 3. It's
those are the first ones then.
Yeah, the first ones. Yeah.
Drew does this nice thing every now and then where the day of the show he'll suddenly be like, oh, hey, can you do this for me? And he sends me like all these pictures.
Yeah. Well, this
like, okay.
I wanted to bring up because there were 2 things. One, the clothespins. Like what an adorable detail. Like it's not because we're used to it's sewn on and whatnot. I was like, that's being held on by clothespins. I have literally 2 of them that look just like that. Yeah. And it's just to contemplate like the analysis there. I was like, literally, that's everybody. That's tons of people who decide to cosplay at a convention.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by just how much you and Jay said about the character and his train of thought. And then at the end, he's just perched up there and he's on top of them rebuilding the Baxter building.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck? Great.
The clothespin were very intentional, right? Mm-hmm. The idea is you're supposed to think this guy's nuts, right? You're supposed to think it. At the end of the first issue of the Sentry, he sees lightning in the sky and he's going, oh, the Sentry signal, my people need me. And you're like, oh no, this guy's nuts. And then he's been obsessing over his Sentry suit, right? Right. And he goes to the cupboard, and he opens it, and there's like a brown suit, a brown coat on with, and he sort of walks out the back door with his coat on, and then he walks up into the sky. Yeah. Like, wait, what's happening? Next thing you know, you come in here, and he's got the clothespins on his back, and it looks like somebody who'd be just desperate to want to be a superhero. He's pretending to himself, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But,
and then,
then you find out what's happening. Sure.
Right. And then the next image was even funnier because I was like, I've never seen a more funnier read warning in my life.
Yeah. I don't view. I think you're going to bring it up.
No, that was the
Next image, Leo.
Yeah.
yes.
Hold
That's
I was
what
on
that
mute. Hold on a second. I'm trying to bring it up.
I was like, this is the greatest read warning in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you found it, then we are as good as dead.
We're as good as dead. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's such a great dynamic as well. When we got to do Sentry, and I've done it in the second Sentry series as well. Actually, it's just that Reed Richards and Sentry were best friends always. They knew each other for years, and they were best man at each other's weddings.
Right. It was crazy. But like, to me, I'm like, this man has faced Galactus. He has saved the world. For him to just say that on a tape to himself, I was like, we are dead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I loved that dynamic between them. There was a scene in the second series I did where Lindy, his wife, Rob's wife, right? They're living in the Watchtower now, and she's just not built for it, right? It's nothing, it's not her. She doesn't know what to do. And she's sort of like, yesterday I was just minding my own business. Like, there was some like Norse god knocking on my front door, and he came in for a cup of tea, and I don't know how to deal with it, right? But she and Sue Storm are girlfriends. They love each other as well. And so there was actually a thing goes full circle that the Thing has a little bone, and the Watchdog, who's like one of my favorite characters, a little Welsh corgi, and the Thing are arguing and wrestling over a little bone, and then you kind of cut away and you come back, and the Thing's on his back, and that Watchdog's walking off with the bone because it won, because it's really powerful, right? It's such a great family dynamic if you get it right, and so that's why I like those characters.
Well, don't tell the Hulk, because he'll never let him live down. And then the last image, because I only is that a Death of a Superman reference?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, because I was like, this is way, especially the way that the cape was. I was like, wait a second, that's totally Death of Superman.
Yes, it
especially the end of a golden age. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm fairly certain, and I was like, I don't know if that's you or Jay, but I was like, genius.
Yeah, that's usually me. We had this whole thing with comic flashbacks. So if you're familiar with the series, we did this whole thing with comic flashbacks, and we used old comics to kind of be memories that that Bob Reynolds and the Sentry were having about the way things used to be, right? Yeah. So there's some real meta behind that. If you'd like to hear it, there's actually something. Once you hear it, you'll go, "Oh my god!"
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's have some.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Karen.
So this is how it works. So essentially, if you think about the comics we use, like when the Sentry's remembering how he came into being, he's like, suddenly with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, and in comes the Sentry, in a starburst. And he stands on the edge of the watchtower, and he's got his cape flowing just like Superman. He's like the golden guardian of good that shines with an inner light, right? So then you get the next ones, and you see that anything goes. Like, it's the Sentry doing crazy stuff. Then in the 80s versions, it's like real grim and gritty, like the kind of Alan Moore type comics, right? In the 90s, it goes badly. It goes, it's like 90s, comics were not particularly, in my opinion, full of real storytelling content. They were like characters with their chest popped out and like team poses and stuff like that. That's when it all broke. And then in 2000s, it began to recover, right? That's what we were doing. So if you think about the evolution of comics, they were the same as the evolution of a drug experience and a drug addiction. Anything goes at the beginning, then actually at the beginning it just happens, and then anything goes. So the whole thing, goes, you can do the hippie stuff and all kinds of whatever you want to do, which is the 70s. In the 80s, reality hits. In the 90s, it goes badly because that's what happens when you're addicted to drugs. And then you go into a period of recovery. So the whole thing about it was to do with Sentry's addiction.
Wow.
Real quick, we have a comment. feeling bad for discovering Sentry so late, but now that I've read much of this run on the comics, he's now become one of my fave characters. Thank you, Paul, for creating such an intricate superhero.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we have. I was hanging out with Lewis Pullman actually at the end of the film.
Oh my God!
When we did the premiere for Thunderbolts, right?
Right.
And so I was talking with Lewis, and I told him, one of the things that's so cool about Sentry is that people who have been struggling with mental health issues, and it doesn't have to be somebody with a mental health issue, the sort of innate. I mean, anyone can be struggling if you're
right
or whatever. And so all of those people are very much tied to the Sentry. They care about the Sentry. He seems to be the character for them. And so there is a vibrant Sentry community on X, Twitter, that kind of loves the Sentry and posts about him all the time. So Lewis and I got to chat about like what it felt like, like what our responsibilities are. He knows that he's playing an iconic character that means a lot to people struggling with their mental health.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, and he did such a great job. I mean, I remember watching Thunderbolts, and I was just like, especially the way that they did Sentry and the Void. Like, I remember there were moments at the Void. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I just felt like he pops up. I felt like Woody in Toy Story and Syndrome's like, we are gonna die. Like that's the Void. We are going to die. We need to get out of here. Where? The next parallel dimension. Out. We are so fucked. Especially when he's just blipping people. I was like, oh, we're gone. Like Thunderbolts out. Bye.
That blipping thing was based on what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When the nuclear bomb, when the bombs went off, there were actually some shadows that were cast by people there was nothing left of them.
Mm-hmm.
What is the word for that? That I've been trying to. Isn't there a technical term for those shadows that are left?
I don't know, but from now on, it should be known as voiding.
Yes.
Okay.
They got voided. Yeah.
But I also want to just bring up something, kind of just switching gears to Origin. And I know you've probably talked about Origin a lot. I mean, that was you kind of explaining Wolverine's beginnings. Do you realize that back in 2006, you guys almost inadvertently made Logan John Wick? With the dog,
right?
With dog killing, no pun intended, his dog. Because I'm sorry, I was reading this and I was like, oh my God, Wolverine's John Wick.
Yeah,
the man killed his dog.
Right.
I was like, oh God, there was no other way that Logan could have ended up. Like he killed his dog.
I'm a big animal lover, and I hated writing that scene.
Yeah,
that was rough.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
Yeah. God damn it, Leo. No, actually, that wasn't Leo. That was Jar. Sorry, Leo.
That was Jar.
Yeah. I think my internet's cleared up. I think I can talk now.
Good.
Right.
Hey, Paul, any backlash for doing Origin? Like any fan backlash? Like
So initially, yes, right. But what you have to understand, and I'll put this to you, you're looking right there at the opening scene, right, the farmhouse, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what this was about very much was that this two worlds right next to each other, right? All the money in the home at the top of the hill, on top of the farms. And then all the poverty gets to the bottom of the hill. Yeah.
Well, and it was so crazy, like reading this, because the way that you and the great Andy Kubert did this book, it was just had a real cinematic feel to it, like the pacing, everything. Like I felt like I was just watching like an illustrated movie, especially. Like I remember like putting aside images and I was like thinking to myself, my God, there are so many like future screensavers or cover photos on Facebook. Yeah. Like I just kept putting aside like when he pops the bone claws for the first time or he's running with the wolves or stuff. I was just like, good Lord, like. But again, Andy just such good work. I mean,
Andy's work is beautiful, and he did it exactly the way that I would have hoped he might do it. And so, you had this dynamic, right? When people read it, they had this kid. You can see him right there. And he's this naughty little kid called Dog. And, what is this about? It's about class system, right? It's about like the kids at the bottom of the hill can't play with the kids at the top. They can play, but they can't go to the parties, right? So what, wasn't known and what people know maybe now, because I talked about it in the last couple of days. This is my life story. This is literally how my brother and I grew up. My father left when I was 5. We lived for a while in a cottage at the bottom of the hill that had no electricity. We lived in caravans, and I've been homeless actually a couple of times. So I knew what it felt like to be at the bottom. We spent our nights looking up at the farmhouse with the lights blaring, just across the way, across this glass plant. And so we could play with the farmers' children, but we weren't invited to their birthday parties. And so the story of the origin of Wolverine is very much the story of me as a little kid.
And and another question I had is like, obviously you're doing the story and you're sprinkling in references to Wolverine. Like, how do you figure where to put those references? Like when they're on the run and Rose is like, oh, his name is Logan.
Yeah.
Or he's running with the wolves, or he mentions Japan, all these kind of things. Like, how, like people are going to be like, oh, how do you, like, how do I say this? Is there a rule you follow in terms of putting those in? Like, how does that pace out,
That would be me kind of doing research in some ways, like finding out like what things might be of use and then creatively adapting them to be used in our story. So we could throw a nod, for example, to the fact that, he was always going to grow up and love redheads, wasn't he? The redhead that he truly loves, he doesn't even remember when he's in love with another redhead. We don't even know it, right? Oh. So we put it all in there. I'm always like that, right? I'm like really annoying because I got so much stuff in there that I think is useful, and I think it's really interesting to fans. But it doesn't. You don't need to be a fan to even read it. It doesn't matter,
Yeah, I remember. I think especially one of the best moments, and I put aside quite a few of them. I think it's where Rose is, of course, because you got to have your cinematics skin candy. She's bathing, and there's one of those images where you see Wolverine kind of he got a peek, and I just remember thinking, like, my God, that is, because it's funny because I think of that because I'm a big Ultimate X-Men fan, and I know Andy and his brother Adam were working side by side, and I was just like, my God, no matter where, that man loves his redheads.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
It just perfectly popped up in there, and I was like, dude,
right.
Like, again, it's you and him just had these little moments that were so perfect in terms of just capturing the character. Like, even what was it where they were explaining what a Wolverine was?
Yeah.
Like that scene, and then just like, that's what he is. He's a Wolverine. And I'm like, it's like, and it was like, oh, they said it. They said the line. Name of the show.
I would tell you that the ultimate of that with me was actually a Fantastic Four story that I did. I did these books called Mythos, and they're probably one of the hardest books that I've ever written. The idea was that you take the origin as shown by whichever creator, and then you use the comic origin, you mix it with the film origin because the films are like wildly successful, but give it a new voice. And so we did this, and the one that everybody just loses their mind about is Captain America. Because I said that if he wanted to join the army, that he was born in the 1920s, he didn't know his father, he lived through the Depression. And by the time that he sees this thing happening, he goes to join up. Why? Because he wants to be in his father's regiment, right? Because he's never known his father. And so that is a reason why he would do that. right?
Right.
And so that's one that like people come to me and they're crying because of the way the book ends and all that. But we did a really cool one in Fantastic Four that I kind of wish someone else had taken the reins with. The idea was that they're in front of Congress, and the Congress people are sort of saying to them, "Are you a threat to America?" And they're like, "Well, we haven't done anything yet, so why don't you give us a minute? You know, we may be powerful, but we're American citizens, and so we're free to go, aren't we? We're not doing anything wrong, right?"
Right.
And one of the questions that one of the Congress women asks them was, "Well, what were you thinking when these cosmic rays hit?" And Sue Storm says, "I was really scared. I was trying to hide." And Reed says, "I was reaching out for my wife." And Ben was like, "I was trying to get the door off to help Johnny." And Johnny was outside the ship, and he's like, "I was really hot." So what they were thinking at the time is what gave them their powers.
Did they have faulty shielding? Just checking real quick.
Yeah, did they? They did, right? 4 friends, faulty shielding.
I almost wore that shirt tonight.
Stolen aircraft.
Stolen
welcome
aircraft.
We
Leo shame.
we have to Leo shame every time the Fantastic Four origin story comes up, because he missed one thing one time, and like T-shirts have been made about it that we all wear that are like making fun of him not knowing every single detail of the Fantastic Four's origin story. So
I didn't know they stole the ship. I thought, they were just up in the ship, and that's blown up to me not knowing the entire origin, and it's gotten to Mark Waid, and it's just it's been the bane of my existence for quite a bit.
Well, if there's any consolation, I know nothing about that stuff. I have to research every comic that I write, but hopefully
No, Paul, no, don't humor him. Don't give him a loophole to get out of this. He's locked in. He's dooming it right now. So we appreciate that. That's great. You're a sweet man. Don't let him off the hook.
I got this feeling that one day there will be a broadcast, and it will start, and it will count down, and it will come up, and Leo will be sitting there in the corner just happily, and there'll be 3 dead bodies just laying there.
Pretty much. and he's just going to be, now I know.
Now you know how I feel about it.
Now I know.
So I wanted to touch on one thing, but before we move on to that, just wanted to say on Origins, absolutely loved it. But that chef at the end, holy crap! Please tell me that. Yeah, I still wanted him to get taken out, but
I knew that guy. That's
I knew it. That has to be a real person.
Yeah,
that's somebody I know.
That was just like, why is he holding back? Why?
There's any consolation that ended badly for that guy as well.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Paul.
I said if there's any consolation, it ended badly for that guy as well. The
real guy. Knew it.
Yeah.
That's what's in Origin 2. Got it. All right, cool. We're gonna read that next.
In the diary, like when you see that hit the flames,
Leo.
Okay. So I wanted to touch on, you mentioned, you definitely work in different mediums. I was looking at the games that you've worked on, like Legacy of Kain. I was working retail when that came out, and like that was like, we didn't know what it was, and all of a sudden it was like, holy crap, this game is awesome. It was selling off the shelves. God of War, Twisted Metal Black. And then the absolute, best Hulk game ever, Hulk Destruction. What was it called?
Ultimate Destruction.
Ultimate Destruction. Yeah.
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 Holy. Out of those titles, what was your favorite to work on? And what's the difference from working on comics to video games? I know it's a lot more work to do.
Leo, don't forget the Darkness and the Darkness 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got to give that credit.
Yeah, interestingly, so I think the game that is the most fun is Hulk, because you can just, it was so politically incorrect. I'm so proud of that basically you could crush the top of a school bus and then surf the school bus down the road, right? We didn't care. And there's this great bit where you can actually grab a purple gorilla it's like a giant inflatable purple gorilla from the outside of a car salesman, and then you can run to the top of a building, jump off it, and then hang on this gorilla and just float around for as long as you want to. It's fantastic, right? There's even mini games where you can float through little circles. Right? Yeah. But the game I think that probably is the one that I know changed games is Darkness. And what you have to understand about that is when it came out, I was told it would probably sell 350,000 copies. And then they got the gameplay, and the gameplay was like literally rated at 10 out of 100 on Metacritic. And the multiplayer was 4 out of 100. That could not be more of a disaster if they tried. And it sold 1.6 million copies. And you're like, well, why did it do that? And the answer was because the storytelling and the characterization and cinematic experience in that game were all rated above 95. So it was the first game that really truly changed the way that story works in game. And one of the things that's interesting is that my producer on that game, Anthony DeLuca, was also the producer on BioShock. And a lot of the things, the ideas that I had and pieces of story that we wanted to do for Darkness that weren't used ended up in BioShock.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I think that game was the most groundbreaking storytelling game, and it is one of the most emulated games in the history of games. If you actually work in the business, people emulate what happened with the Darkness across the board, and that's what built the industry, in my opinion, of storytelling games. And it started with Soul Reaver, because when Soul Reaver and Legacy came, we were doing stories about Gnosticism in the mid-90s, and they said, you can't do that. And we're like, that means you can't do it. We can do it.
And also, I just want to give credit, the game also had the benefit of having Mike Patton as the voice of Jackie, which is just crazy because, me being a musician fan, I'm like Faith No More, Mr. Bungle, and then he did all the things like Dillinger Escape Plan and a bunch of others. I was just like, when I heard that, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like,
well, to be clear, okay, so Kirk Acevedo was the voice of Jackie in the first one, and Nolan North was the voice of Jackie in the second one. Mike Patton was the voice of the Darkness.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I got him confused.
And that was insane, right? Like his voice was brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just one of those. I was like, wait, it's like I was playing it. Like I kept having, I was like, wait a second, I know that. And then I think like one day I was just like listening to my iPod, because again, back in the day, I'd shuffle, and I think Faith No More came on, and I was like my brain did that click. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and I was like, yo, that is fan-fucking-tastic. So I just, in case anybody wasn't aware of that, everybody go replay The Darkness, okay? Go.
Yeah.
Or Darkness 2.
Now, do you game yourself?
Do I play games?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't play as many as I would like to, nor do I ever watch TV, nor do I ever see any movies, nor do I ever read comics because I'm so busy working.
Well, your life's fun.
Yeah.
But I will always have a big love of Assassin's Creed, for example. I think that the Ezio Auditore stories, where I would have said you would never have been able to explain to people that they were in ancient Constantinople, and their job in part was to save mosques, right? And it was like part of the story. That was a brilliant piece of storytelling, and I think it was heartfelt, and it broke your heart. And you had this whole web of stories. You find pieces of stuff, and that game has its origin in Prototype. The web of intrigue from Prototype, and just the look of the character in the hoodie and everything. You see Prototype that came out before it, and then you see that, and you see where that game came from.
Yeah.
Nice. No, it's just
intriguing stuff.
There you go. If I can just go back to a comic for just a brief minute, and then I think we definitely want to talk about Sidekick for a bit, since I know that's something you really, I could just see you just squirming.
I'm interested in the news about it. That's kind of cool. As we've been talking, more of the comic has filtered into my head, and it was an interesting concept of
Yeah, absolutely, Jar. I just wanted to talk about some Spider-Man because I was introduced to some of your work. I believe it's in the Day of Our Life. I bought like a trade paperback when I was at Universal when I was like 12 because they were selling at the Spider-Man ride store, and I was like, oh, I love comics. I read it, and the Web Spinners arc blew my mind. Like I even used it in like a grad school thesis at one point. Like I had like a presentation. I used scenes from that arc that you did with Sean Phillips and J.G. Jones. I mean, and I said when we were reading, I was like, guys, you got to read this story. It's so good. And Jeremy particularly enjoyed your use of Pagliaccio or Pagliacci. Yeah.
I've always been a fan of that story. I don't recall where I first heard it, but like every time it's used in a comic or a movie or something, I'm just like, hey, I know that.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I just say, I mean, the whole story, but the last issue gets me every time, which you did with no, Leo, that's issue 26. We started at the beginning. Sorry, Leo. But my bad, buddy.
I might have them up in a backwards order too, because I'm not sure how I got them.
I just saw Leo roll his eyes.
Yeah, that's me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to send it to you the same day.
When you dump 26 pictures in one stack, I might get them backwards depending on where I start and finish. So
yeah, the first one, Leo, is Chameleon and Spider-Man laughing together on top of the Brooklyn Bridge.
How about you just tell me the comic? What issue?
It's fine. It's no.
Leo, number 11. I can tell you because I know.
No, Leo. It's issue 12. But Leo, I picked specific issues for a reason. So
fighting with the creator, you know.
Yeah, I'm not fighting with 11.
No. Well, with 12, just Peter in the dreamscape. I mean, what you and JG did, like when Peter wakes up and he's bound by his own webbing, and he's just surrounded by comic panels.
Yeah, I want to tell you about that. There's actually some meaning to that. So let me go to the beginning first. When I came into Marvel, I did really well with Inhumans, and so they basically said you can do whatever you like, and I said I want to do Sentry, and they were like no, and so I said you got to let me do Sentry, and I persuaded Jay to do it with me, and we did Sentry. And then I was asked by Ralph Macchio, the editor of Spider-Man. He's like, Paul, I'd love you to write Spider-Man. And I was like, I don't know, man, I'm not interested. And it just flipped him out because I'm just not a comic insider. And so I said to, because I love Ralph, right? But I said, I don't get it, Ralph. I just, you've got like a clone saga and Mary Jane's dead and all that. And I said, it's just this morass of like stuff. And I don't know how to write it because I wouldn't know how to jump in on and refer to the Clone Saga because I've never read it because I'm not interested, right?
Right.
I'm not that guy. And then it went around, and then this one day I went, I think I know how I could write him. And that's where we come to Web Spinners. And I said, Ralph, would you mind if I wrote this story that like sets me up to write it? Then I could write Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah. So what it is that in the Sean Phillips issue, it goes right back to the very beginning, the Chameleon, but the first crook that he fought. And the Chameleon comes back, and, you know, it's been out for 25 years now, so there's no spoiler alert here. The Chameleon comes back, and basically the Chameleon comes back because he realizes he doesn't have a life. He has no identity. He doesn't even know who he is anymore because he's just spent his whole life being the Chameleon. But he realizes the one person that he's ever met that is just worth being is Peter Parker. He says to him, even your tragedies are interesting. You have this perfect aunt, and she makes perfectly bad meatloaf, and you know everything is perfect in your world, even the tragedies. And I want that life. I wish I was you. And they do it on the Brooklyn Bridge where Gwen died. And the Chameleon says to him, look, you know, I know this is really weird. I guess I love you. And they both start laughing, right? Like, that was a weird thing to say. Like, well, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not like, in that sense. And then they stop laughing, and he says, "It's nice to see you smile." And then he crosses his arms and he takes his own life.
Yep.
There's nowhere forward for him to go.
And then just that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Of, this is where Gwen, and Peter goes through the same thing. So one second he's laughing, and the next second he's hanging by. Again, he's reliving what is literally one of the worst days of his life.
Yeah, and now Chameleon just takes his own life. Peter can't save him, and
he's heartbroken.
It's over, right?
Yeah.
And so from that, he's had this traumatic moment, and he's so overwhelmed by tragedy, right? And that's where we come into issue 12.
Right.
Peter Parker is just like, he's had so many tragedies, and there's so much has happened that he doesn't know what to do with himself anymore. And so in issue 12, he comes home, and he sort of says to his aunt, he's so
thank you, Leo.
Trapped, right? Yeah. And so he comes home and he talks to her, and he's just really down. Mm-hmm. She can't really reach him, and so he falls into a dream, right? Mm-hmm. And in the dream, he is trapped by comic book panels. And all this was about was that I couldn't work out how to tell this story unless we could relieve him of this crap that's holding him down. The Clone Saga. I wouldn't say the Clone Saga is crap. I'm just saying this stuff, all of these millions of things. And so what he does is, in this dream, he relives all of these interactions and all of these tragedies he's been through. Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy. And it all goes back, and you see these terrible events. And in the end, he's trying to get out of these panels, right? He relives the death of Captain Stacy.
Right.
It's nothing he could have done. We put in the old panel so you could see like where this happened for him. And then he goes through all of them until he gets to Uncle Ben. And he is systematically getting rid of this continuity and the stuff that holds him down.
Yeah. Leo, can you just, there's something I wanted to bring up with it. This one, Leo, no, that one, please.
Yeah.
So this was fantastic because these are literally some of his worst moments. I mean, you have the death of Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
You have, the loss of his child. This is the Clone Saga. The loss of his child. It's astounding what happens there.
And it was too much, right? It was too much. It was like,
even the loss of.
Oh, we got a glitch.
I think the loss of the child he was gonna.
Yeah, well, so if you look at it, I'll take over. He's being held up, but every time he thinks of it and every time he confronts it, that panel flies off of him in the comic. So if you actually skip through Leah, you can see that he's shedding these memories because he's confronting them in his dream. He's got these terrible moments, he doesn't know how to overcome it. And in the end, it's Uncle Ben, right? And Uncle Ben goes and he gets to the one that he doesn't, right. That's the one he doesn't want to remember.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to remember Gwen. And what it's about survivor's guilt. It's about not forgiving yourself. He doesn't know how to forgive himself for the death of Gwen. And he's been through all these tragedies. And so if you just go through the next couple of pages, he has to see it. He has to see the death of Uncle Ben. He has to relive these moments, and he has to know that he was there and he was responsible. And when the final images peel away, all of a sudden all the color is back. He's free from being held down by these panels, and there's only 5 people on the roof with him. If you go back one page, right? If you go back, there's only the villains, his core villains: Dr. Octopus, the Vulture, Sandman, Green Goblin, and it's him and them, and he's just loving it. He's back to where he should be, because that was my statement about Spider-Man. He needed to go back where he needed to be. You need the simplicity of those feelings in those stories, and then it would mean something. So he's fighting his old villains, and he's now shed all of this old continuity. You needed to get him back to the simplicity of what he once was. That was my own feeling about what was wrong with Spider-Man. And so I was fixing it in the story. So now if you go to the next page, you know, it all kind of fades away. And essentially what it is they disappear. And there's no one on the roof with him. And, you know, he's alone. And then Gwen comes out. And when she comes out, he just wants to be with her. And he says to her, I want to stay here with you. And she says, no, you can't, because you're dreaming. Yeah. And so once we had done that, we had shed all of the stuff that I didn't care about and understand. And now we got back to the core Spider-Man. And right after I wrote this, that's when I started writing Spider-Man.
That's awesome.
That's interesting. I'm impressed that they were like, yeah, go ahead. Take away all this gibberish that was going on anyways and like do away with it.
That's why Ralph Macchio was such a good editor, because he understood.
That's fantastic.
I think, you know, a lot of fans went through that as well. I know myself, like, you know, I was reading Spider-Man up to the point where Clone Saga, and then it just got so ridiculous. I just stopped reading Spider-Man, you know.
Right.
Well, that's where I was enjoying the reading that we did for Paul, because I learned that Mary Jane had passed at one point, and that Peter's kid had passed. There was a lot of stuff going on.
It was too much. They said when I came over, they were like, she's dead. And I'm like, I literally used it in my college lecture. I'm like, okay, we're going to put this forward. So in their comics, now Mary Jane was dead, right? She's only tragedy number 603. Now, I would put it back to the days of Stan and you know, Steve Kirby doing it or something and say, look, you know, imagine a premise where he's coming home from school and he's got to carry a blueberry pie to get home in time for dinner. Or Aunt May will find out he's Spider-Man, you know, and he's carrying a blueberry pie and he comes around the corner and Green Goblin's there and now he has a big fight with Green Goblin and the blueberry pie hits the ground and you're like, oh no, right? You care more about the fate of the blueberry pie than you do about Mary Jane dying at that point, because Mary Jane's just like, hold your, you know, hang on, and she's back. There was no consequence in storytelling when I came to Marvel, I felt. And so I asked them to let me provide consequence again.
It was, I mean, again, you did so much with that. And then you really did find like the little funny moments. Like, again, we were talking earlier, you have a moment where Peter is eating Randy, because he's at times rooming Randy Robertson. He's eating Randy's ice cream and he's singing Queen.
Yeah, but he's singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
He lost his towel.
In his towel. Go home, and just as he finishes, he's eating his ice cream, and he does this flourish like, you know, I seal it, and he kind of does this Galileo, and as he does it, he finishes the song, and his towel falls down, and he bends down and to New York, and sort of says, and he's showing his ass basically, and then Randy walks in with his girlfriend. He goes, "Oh, that was unexpected," and they kind of walk out, right?
Yeah,
more Vader than anybody wanted to see.
Yeah, they would let you do something like that now, I think.
Yeah, and if there's one more issue I just want to briefly talk about, and I apologize, everybody, my phone overheated and shut down Chrome. So I was like, that's never happened to me before. So apologies. Leo, would you mind bringing up Peter Parker Spider-Man issue 26? Thank you, sir.
While we're doing this real quick, can I ask if we got the one comment by Jay Cotton out of the
sure.
Comments? This is way back before, but it was just, I went to the cinema 4 times to watch Thunderbolts because the movie was amazing. I did love it, and thinking making my way to read comics. So got somebody into comics through that. So there you go. It'd been there for a long time. So
that's fantastic.
So Paul, just briefly, I just need to say, I think this is like one of my favorite Spider-Man issues I've ever read, because I loved your premise is very simple. What is everyone's opinion of Spider-Man? And they're asking all these different people their opinion. Cops, people in the DA, people in like forensics, the mayor, everything. And the perspective was just absolutely fantastic. It's so real because, yeah, you'd think, oh, okay, what are the superheroes think of Spider-Man? I was like, yeah, what about normal people? Yeah. And to this day, I'm still laughing at Leo, if you just go back just 1 second. I'm still laughing at that you legit made a spider signal. That's actually a thing. And I was just like,
yeah.
I was like, I can't.
That was great. Yeah, we were sort of like, you should have a spider signal and it's just really bad. We did that kind of gag a couple of times. We had this whole issue where he's mourning Mary Jane's death, and he's made this heartfelt promise to Mary Jane that he is going to honor her memory with this thing that he promised he would do, but he never did it while she was alive. And so, you're all teary. And the thing that he's going to do is he's going to do stand-up comedy, right?
The mimes.
And so he shows up to do the stand-up comedy, and he stinks.
He bombs.
And that's very Peter Parker. He's great when he does it, in the middle of a fight.
Right.
But he's absolutely terrible when he's on stage. He bombs harder than anybody, right? And I thought that's such a great Parker end, yeah.
Yeah, but I just have to be honest with this. The ending of this issue still gets me like in the gut every time, because it's a police officer who was there the day he fought Green Goblin and Gwen Stacy passed away.
Yeah, yeah.
And it like, just again, this is all secondhand. Leo, you just back up one, please.
Yeah.
This moment, this panel where he tells the cop what happened, like that, it's very clear to him what happened. And then the next page when they're interviewing Peter, and he just tries to console Peter, and Peter, and again, we know who Peter is.
Yeah.
But this guy has no idea. I was just heartbroken, man. That was just what gave you the idea to tell the story this way, and whatnot, just out of curiosity, because this still gets me. I was blinking back tears just reading this.
Okay, I would say this, right? If you look at the Thunderbolts movie and you look at the Sentry, they really told the story about Bob. And I worked on the film. I got to work with Jake Schreier, the director. And essentially, when I talked with Jake, I said, Sentry's not the Sentry, and he's not the Void, he's Bob. And that's what it's all about. And Jake absolutely went for it. He totally understood it. I really appreciate him doing that. And so you told the story about the people. Everything that's moving your emotions in my work is not a punch or a kick or a reveal. It's all human stuff. Right. We wrote an entire issue about Peter going with his Uncle Ben to a baseball game. And that issue is one that I sign more than anything. It's just about a little boy going to a baseball game. And what drives fans nuts is that there's only one picture of him dressed as Spider-Man in the entire thing. The whole thing is about every year he used to go to a baseball game with Uncle Ben, and they would always lose. The Mets would always get killed. And then one year he's finally grown out of it. He doesn't want to go. He's like 15, 16, and the Mets win. And he doesn't. His uncle doesn't even have to say anything to him. He realizes, yeah, I get it. Some days when you win, it's like really beautiful. And 2 days later, Uncle Ben is dead. And so all of that is the story of connecting to our family through rituals or Thanksgiving or sports.
Right.
And it's only a human story. And that's what this was about. It was just like, what do people think? And what would he have been going through? And we showed it. Because they never showed that stuff. They did the story and then they would move on to the next one. And I'm like, this is the stuff he would have been going through.
Right. No, it hands down. And correct me if I'm wrong. Speaking of human, didn't you have an issue where you learned that Peter's love of practical jokes was due to Uncle Ben?
That's the first issue that we wrote. They said, you'll never be able to do Spider-Man. All the stories have been done. And then we did. The first issue was literally the reason he has a sense of humor is because he's a little tiny kid. He's an orphan. His parents have died, and he comes to live with his aunt and uncle. And he walks in to see his Uncle Ben for the first time. And Uncle Ben comes out, and he's got an orange in his mouth. So he's like, rah! And from that day on, they start playing practical jokes, and they leave like crazy, soap that makes your face all black, and like snappy gum and stuff. And they play practical jokes on each other. And Aunt May doesn't really like it, but the fact is, and she'd always say, "Oh, you stupid pair of idiots," and they would play stupid jokes on each other. Right. And that's where he gets his sense of humor.
Yeah.
No, great writing.
Seriously, I just, again, when I met you in 2016, which I think was at New Jersey Comic Fest, I had a copy of issue 26.
Yeah.
Ready. And
there's one with his orange in his mouth. Look. He comes in and he's really scared, and he start playing practical jokes on each other. I love that. Yeah,
it was just fantastic. So I had to bring that up.
Thank you.
So just hands down, that's one of my favorites, and I'm so glad to have a copy of it. And again, I tell anyone, it's like, you want a great issue. This was top notch, man. Like if they ever adapted that, I would be like, whew.
I just spent time in San Diego with Mark Buckingham, my old partner in crime, right? And Bucky's a good friend, and we hadn't seen each other in a while. And Bucky gave me 5 pages from the original run, which is awesome.
Nice.
And he knew which one. I mean, I loved all of them, right? But he knew which one would make me squeal with delight, because he gave me one where he's fighting the mimes.
Yes.
And I'll tell you where that came from. Bucky and I get given the job, and we're way behind. They tell us basically, you've got the job, and you guys have 2 weeks to finish the first issue. Right. We're like, you're joking, right? Okay. But we did a good issue, and we got on the phone, and we started talking, right? Yeah. Now, Bucky is a lovely English gentleman. He's the sweetest natured guy. He's got a beautiful accent, not like me, I'm a thug. And and so it's probably 4 o'clock in the morning my time. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. He's eating his eggs in the morning. I'm still awake. And we start talking about why Spider-Man is interesting. And we start talking about the sense of humor. And we're like, let's just write stories about who he really is. And we'll put Spider-Man in it, right? Right. You know what I mean? It's like the stuff will happen, but we'll do stories that mean something. Right. And so we started joking. And at one point, we brought up the idea that there would be a gang of mimes, right? And he'd run into them, and he'd have this fight with them. And Bucky says, wouldn't it be great if he ran up to one held a gun up to him, and he's like, oh, and he puts his hands up thinking he's done, and the gun comes out and says, bang, right? It's just stupid. And so I've never, ever laughed so hard. We were laughing so hard that we couldn't breathe, either of us. We were laughing.
There you go. Because
of these stupid ideas that we had about fighting a gang of mimes. And we did a whole issue. This isn't even it. This is just when he first runs into them.
Right.
We did an entire silent issue because they did a month of silent comics. And we know exactly what to do. We're going to bring the mimes back. And we do this entire thing where he fights this gang of mimes, and nothing is said. And then the best part of it is that he ends up trapping them. I kid you not, he traps them in a plexiglass factory, so they're all stuck behind glass.
Oh my god!
And that is totally worth the setup.
100%. Like, again, just how surprised he is about the finger guns. Yeah. I'm just, again, hands down, it made me laugh when I was younger, and it's still cracking me up today. So just. That's the longevity of work. But I think that's it on comics, because I know you really wanted to talk sidekicks. Kick or kicks, does it matter?
Sidekicks at the moment, yeah. It's sort of it used to be sidekick, it's sidekicks right now.
Okay.
Right. So obviously I'm lucky enough I get to do pretty cool things. I'm now working on a few comics again. I haven't done comics in a while, so I'm back to doing more comics, which is cool. And we have been developing a game project from an old series that I did called Sidekick. And so the basic premise of the original Sidekick was it was a superhero sidekick called Eddie Edison. They always have to have illiterate names, right?
Right.
And Eddie couldn't make any money because he was like a sidekick to the world's most moronic superhero. He's like Superman on steroids, this guy called Mr. Excellent. And Mr. Excellent would have an XL on the front of his shirt, and he thinks it stands for excellence, but it's just an extra large shirt, right? So Eddie's doing his best, and he can't make any money, so he decides to be a sidekick to 4 heroes at the same time. What could possibly go wrong, right? And they all call his marker in on the same day, and it all goes to crit. We loved it so much that we did a second series that really disappeared. It's called the Sidekick Super Summer Spectacular. And if you remember the old Legion of Superheroes, they used to vote in a new superhero every year. So they would do all these stories with these superheroes, and then the fans would vote to see which one would be the one that got voted in, and then they would make him a superhero.
Right.
And that's so brilliantly fucking absurd that we were like, oh, we have to do it. So Sidekick became this thing. And over time, what I've wanted to do is to make the animated series and to make the game. So we started developing the game, and I am lucky enough that there's a fantastic producer in Los Angeles called Stephen LaRue and his company Solipsist. They've known about Sidekick for a while. And so Stephen and I just saw each other. He's like, we need to do Sidekick. And I said, well, we're actually developing it as a game. So the basic premise is that because I came in and I was instrumental in the rebuild of Marvel when they were going out of business, they were in bankruptcy, right?
Right.
And because I helped revive the superhero thing, and I repaired it and I fixed it. And I'm really sorry for what I did because of all these Marvel movies. So my job is to completely dismantle it this time.
Right.
I'm really sorry for what I did. And we're going to kind of go back to it, right? So I want to show you guys. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you a little bit of Sidekick. We will sort of go into some of these characters. So here is Bucktooth Adventure Dentist. This is your regular 6-month appointment for your appointment with excitement. Captain Arsehat. In the event of nuclear war, he will be safe and you're all screwed. Claude Boar's Dinosaur Hunter is a good one. So when mankind eventually clones dinosaurs, Claude Boar's is going to be ready. So just kind of walks around waiting. So this guy is one of my absolute favorites. This is Confuso, the world's dumbest robot. He's basically ChatGPT's stupid brother-in-law. And because we know that AI is really stupid, and I love fucking with AI. I like to ask AI really stupid questions that it can't answer. So if you want the attack vector calculated to like 20 decimal points, look elsewhere because he can't calculate shit, right? Let's see. The Dutch Coven are all very flatulent. Hans Wolfslayer lives in Minnesota. Right?
Dutch Coven.
Let's see, hide and seek. They're neither here nor there. This one's good. This is the human bus. He's actually born in the jungles of deepest Borneo where there are no buses, but he's got this power. My wife loves this one, the living sherbet. It's basically like Man Thing or Swamp Thing. It's when radioactive seawater washes up on some like old ice cream on the shore and the living sherbet is born. Madam Tsetse Fly, she's on our side, but she carries all the diseases known to man. Man Bear is basically he's got the body of a bear and the strength of a man. Mega Rabbi proving with size and strength that Judaism is the one true religion. This guy Perkins of the Jungle is basically keeping the jungle's finances in order. Professor Otto von K. He's kind of like a Reed Richards guy, this guy. This guy's Remembro. He has the power of exposition.
Wonderful.
The silverfish. It's a great. Like we love to find animals.
Man.
We love to find animals that are really shit. Right? So the silverfish. Sinistro and his old pal Buddy.
Oh God!
It makes no sense. He's just a villain, right? It's correct.
Oh no!
No! It is off color. This thing. This guy cracks me up. This is Eterbium Man. Basically, all the other elements were taken, so he got Eterbium. But it doesn't really do anything. It's kind of an inert metal. So his catchphrase it's time to get kind of rusty.
No words.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing with my life. I mean, this is what I've done. You know what I've done.
There's no judgment here.
No judgment. I freaking absolutely love it. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to play the game now. I want to see.
Seriously,
this looks ridiculous.
Like I'm ready to see people cosplaying these characters. You know,
we can do this. Yeah, we can do this if you like. I mean, I'll show you a few more if you really want to see them. I'll show you a few more.
Oh yeah.
Everybody know that we can't see the. Come on, Paul. We can see. Yeah, please.
Okay. Here we go then. This is, let's see, the ones that you just saw were kind of unaffiliated ones. Let's show you, this is the League of Dicks. So the League of Dicks is demented and insane criminals, killers, and sickos. They all have really bad acronyms. So the superheroes in training, their acronym is shit, right?
Right.
So you got the seventh circle of hell. You've got bitch slap, and this is what the Green Lantern would look like if he was a violent pimp. Codependent and the enabler. Colonel Lingus. His power is to insult people. Man. He's been found guilty of 7 counts of vernacular homicide, which I think, by the way, is a fucking fantastic joke. Okay, yeah. So this is Count Dracula. She's fantastic.
Dracula.
Devil Monkey. This guy's called Douche Nozzle. He's kind of like Dr. Octopus. He's just really grotesque. Drunkenstein. The only thing operating worse than his brain is his liver.
Oh man.
The fecal swashbuckler.
Where's his hand?
His hand. Where's his hand? He's the world's foremost practitioner of the art of the dirty Sanchez. Yeah.
Oh my God! No. He's serving chocolate-covered pretzels.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. If you go back, there you have to do it when he has a poop knife for a sword.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Oh yeah, poop knives. Thank you, Reddit, for the poop knife.
It's so right. General Chunder, the Duke of York.
Oh my God!
This is my guy.
God!
This is the only Welsh member of the League of Dicks. That's Groknar, Violator of Sheep.
On the nose with that one.
The Hooded Cow is a part-time professor of culinary arts at the University of Dublin. Mangina, fucking great. Love that guy.
Oh my!
This guy is Miles Flatt, the vocal assassin. I think he's fucking fantastic as well. Mr. Fister.
Oh no!
Oh my God!
He stretches orifices.
Small.
Mr. Perfume. This guy, I like her a lot. So this is Mood Swinger. She's like Two-Face, yeah. Basically, she's in a good mood sometimes and in a bad mood the other times, and no one just has the nerve to tell if she's just moody. Mummy Nuts. We got like this Screen Queen. This guy is special. He's one of the more special ones. This guy is Time Fucker. And what he does is he goes back in time and he literally violates violates the rules of physics by having sex with, like, to change the demographics of history. So he basically goes and like finds people in history and has sex with them to populate the world with people that he wants. Love him. And the Wolf Manicurist.
I can't. I have no words, Paul. This is just your sense of humor is fantastic. We just
like
need to say that.
So the thing is,
a 12-year-old kid just got to play in a sandbox. It was just like, I'm building it all.
Right. It's literally like, this is what I might do when I grow up. Like do these characters. Mm-hmm. And there are some. So you have to actually take it for what it is. It's very difficult to be clever stupid, right? It's very difficult. And so I'll give you one more, but this is from the Council of American Superheroes. Their acronym is CASH, but they're a non-profit organization with all checks payable to cash. And so I'm going to share this one last guy. This is the one that gets a lot of play because everybody loves this guy, but you have to understand the superpower. So this guy is Lord Stonecock, right? And so the power that he has is that whenever danger rears its ugly head, he responds with an embarrassing rock hard stiffy. But the joke is that he's a very polite British guy, and so that's his power. He's like a canary in a coal mine. He can always sense when danger's coming. But when this happens, he's so embarrassed that he can't tell anybody, so he just kind of walks away and leaves. Right? It makes no sense whatsoever. But it's purely the stupidity of Sidekick that the power is the problem, and that's why it's funny.
Well done. Well done.
With the Welsh one, it's one of those like, I can't tell you're a Brit at all. Can't at all.
Yeah, my family are Welsh, so I said I want a Welsh one. And,
you get that? Yeah.
And Groknar, Violator of Sheep, is basically doing the Lord's work for us.
You know what, Leo? I think this is the spoiler, not that we needed, but the one that Splash Pages deserved.
Oh yes.
So you're working on both the game and the cartoon. For the cartoon, is there a network already you're working with, or
no? Any of that stuff is premature. What we're doing is we're building it out for the networks. We're building out the series. We're building out the stories and the artwork and all the things that we want to do. Until you sign the deal and get it sold and all that stuff, it's great. But Steven is fantastic. Solipsist. Steven produced the Sin City movies, and he is producing the new Kung Fu movie that's coming out. So Steven knows his stuff, right? He's really good. I've known him for a number of years. He's always wanted to work with me. I've always wanted to work with him. And so the idea that we have these stupid ass characters, but I promise you, it's clever stupid, right? It's very hard to do. It looks dumb, but in fact, it's just genuinely charming in some ways. Even Lord Stonecock, right? It's charming because they have no idea. Like, there's one actually character that I didn't show you, and he's called the Sherpa. Remember, we still got another 100 of them that you didn't see.
Oh wow!
But the Sherpa has this power, and he's able to pinpoint his place exactly where he's standing to within like 3 feet. He knows exactly where he is, right? So he's got this incredible superpower. But the problem is, so does your iPhone. So his power is completely obsolete. He kind of stands around hoping to be hired, but he's got no job because everyone can do what he does, right? That kind of thing is very sweet because you're sort of like rooting for the guy, Yeah.
You are somebody I want to play D&D with, like absolutely. From like the dark and depressing stuff to the just bizarre things you've got, everything wrapped together. You would be so much fun to game with. Oh,
the DM would hate you.
I've done it twice. I did it with the girl that I took to Fantastic Four. Desiree is a longtime friend. She took me to go do it because I hadn't really done it before, and we had a blast. We did a 1-hour thing at Dragon Con, and I invented a character called Jerry the Bard. I think I would play him again if I ever did it again. And
or should be a bard.
He just like the guys were fans. We had 3 guys that played with us, and they were fans of mine. And they were like, "Paul, you be the leader." I'm like, "Sounds good." And so it was fun. I enjoyed doing it, but I had them in stitches the whole time because Jerry was not good at what he did.
No, he was not.
He didn't know what to do. Yeah. But at one point, because the idea was that he he was a bard and he played a horn and electric triangle. That was on stage.
Electric triangle.
I kid you not, right? And so at one point, we find these giant footprints in the game, and the dungeon master kind of goes, "You look into a dark cave, there might be giants." And I said, "Oh, we open for them." In Rivendell, and the whole place cracked up. They're like, "This is great." So yeah, I think I would be halfway decent at Dungeons and Dragons.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Next time we start a game, I'm inviting you. You can say no, but you're invited because that's going to be so fun. That would be so awesome.
I would love to hear that story. Kara's like, "Oh yeah, Paul Jenkins showed up my D&D game. Like, no biggie. Like, just this best-selling, award-winning writer.
Just go send me an invite, Kara, and then send me an invite. You never know."
Oh, he will.
I will.
He will. Trust me.
Paul, I know we are a little bit past time, but I know you just got back from San Diego. What do you have next coming up for cons or for events?
For cons, I will do Dragon Con, which I love. Not only am I doing sort of comics and stuff like that, and I'll have a booth there, but I'm actually doing what they call the Brit track. So there's loads of British people. So my partner in crime, who works for me at Meta Studios, my company, a guy called Craig Forster, he and I are lifetime football fans. In fact, we have this affliction. You may not know anything about football, soccer, right? Premier League. We are lifetime Crystal Palace fans. And what that means to those of you who don't know, it's a little bit like being a Cleveland Browns fan, I think, or a Buffalo Bills fan or something. Never won anything. We've never won. And this last year, for the first time in our history, we won the FA Cup. So Craig and I are just beyond. We don't know what to do. All we do is smile and go like, we won the FA Cup. Right? We're so excited about it. So Craig and I are going to be the hooligans, and if anybody's coming to DragonCon, please do come and see us. Where the football hooligans do bad British sports, and we're going to teach everybody about the pointless sports that Great Britain comes up with. Yes, cricket is one of them. Sure. Yes, croquet is another one, but we're going to teach you about welly wanging and cheese rolling. So there's loads of
cheese
stuff.
roll. You're doing the cheese roll?
We're doing cheese rolling, yeah.
That's my favorite.
Oh my!
Yeah.
I'm all about the cheese roll.
It is quite possibly one of the most pointless sports, but we've got plenty of them. Trust me. Even the origins of football. The origins.
It's so dangerous.
Was really dangerous. It was literally like villages that would fight, and they'd have this pig's bladder, and they try to get it into the other village, and they would attack each other and smash each other up, and then take the thing and go to the other village. Football started as the most pointless game, and it got popular because they invented rules, which I thought was quite stupid.
Oh, you're doing a cheese roll. I can't. I'm
just so Did you see, George? Did you see how excited she was? Like,
I just want to make sure I know what a cheese roll is. That's when they roll the cheese down the hill and everybody chases
and you
after
race
it and flip and fall. Yeah, okay, I've seen that.
Okay, I had no idea what that is, but that's what
I send people. Mind. Yeah, I'm always like, go look this up. It's amazing.
These people are nuts.
I'm sorry. Carrie, I've been friends with you a while. You have never once been, oh, hey, check out this cheese roll. I would have been like, is that like an Instagram reel, but we just look at cheeses? Because if
there's a Netflix special about it too.
I'm fairly wouldn't surprise me, Jar.
The only thing I know is pumpkin chunkin.
Oh no.
No. I'm not going there with you. Okay, I've learned never to ask questions about things you know. Okay, no, not going there with you, Leo.
It's where they launched the trebuchet.
Yeah, no, I got it. That's pretty much what I figured.
So Paul, who's your friend there?
This is Claudius, so named after his claws. He's like my manager, and he's also a writing guy. So he just sits back here, or he sits on my lap when I'm working. He spends all of the time down here. He's a lovely little void. He's a purebred Bombay cat.
Oh,
adorable.
That's what I tell everybody, and you're not arguing with me. And so he is the most special cat I've ever had. He lives for me, and you can actually see him juxtaposed right there. You see on my shoulder right here. You can see Toothless in the background. He looks just like Toothless.
Yeah.
My guy. Right? He's drooling like he normally does. Now I'm giving him attention, and he thinks I'm giving treats, which I probably am.
Dad, you've given these people enough time. It's back to me now.
Yeah, it's my
I've loaned you time. That's that, Leo. I think we don't want to get the claws out, so maybe we should wrap it up.
Yeah. Final question.
Yeah. Do we have a final question?
You're gonna ask it, Leo?
I know we covered it earlier. We know he doesn't have too much time for movies, and but what do you do in your spare time, Paul? When is there something you dork out about? You collect something odd?
You go for a walk.
Yeah,
I walk a lot. I have an odd quirk. Yeah, I walk in forests in the pitch black. I like to do that. I've always done it my whole life. Yeah.
Boy, you and Carrie are gonna get along.
What the hell you say?
I like to do that. I'll occasionally play around a golf, I guess, because that takes away your brain. I feel like the world's least likely golfer. Everybody's sort of like, you play golf?
Like, yeah, I was about to be like, what?
Yeah, Paul Jenkins does golf.
Yeah, I can play golf. I'm a 2 handicap, so I'm pretty good at it.
None of us even know what that means.
That means that I can shoot pretty well, right? And then I'll occasionally watch a movie. I don't know that I have time to get involved in TV. I'll occasionally play a game if I can find a bit of time, but I work a lot, and I've got a lot of people that rely on me for a lot of different things. So, I love my work. I've got 2 kids and I'm married. So obviously I've got time for my family that I make. That's important. So generally It's basically me and Claudius versus the world, you know.
There you go.
That's awesome.
You're gonna win.
Well, if you're looking for a new game to play, I've been telling people Black Myth Wukong is really good. It's a little bit difficult. It's an action RPG type, but it's based off of the Journey to the East or Journey to the West.
Okay.
The Chinese story. Yeah.
And I can give you the sort of Paul Jenkins top 5 movies or something. Maybe that's worth it. You know, let's see. I was just thinking about that, like The Arrival, most beautiful film with Denis Villeneuve. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's probably my top film. I would say The Big Blue. If you've never seen that film, it's amazing. It's about depth divers that trying to get the world record, and you know what's going to happen. They're trying to dive against each other, right?
Biggest
probably
fear right there.
Spinal Tap, because Spinal Tap is such genius. Shaun of the Dead is another one.
Yep.
If I were to pick a fifth, the answer is like a bunch of other ones, which I'm not going to say because then I have to pick. I have to be finite and exclude other films. But you know,
listen. You just have a pint and just wait for this whole thing to blow over. Okay, it's fine.
Right. That's right. I am Sean.
You know, and listen, I'm saying that as somebody who's been at a zombie prom, which was exactly what it sounds, and I was dressed as Ed, and I did the whole thing the whole time. Like 2 minutes. Sorry, let's go take this, and I had actually a flip phone.
Me and Claudius are headed off to the Winchester after this.
Very nice. Yeah, just there you go.
Brad Tosker and I are just gonna get pass out drunk.
Yeah, they're just gonna drink until that squirrel actually talks, which is pretty weird when you see it happen. But well, Paul, just thank you so much for taking the time. This is just fantastic, and honestly, the best of luck with Sidekick. I mean, by God, we're just gonna promote the mother loving hell out of that because that's clean adult fun right there.
Yeah, it's absolutely stupid and it's so politically incorrect. I'm absolutely in love with it because I think everybody needs to relax and just enjoy themselves now. And I get it. You know, I've written stuff that has any number of meanings to lots of different people. But, you know, also chill out, man. Like, have fun, right? Laugh at a joke, you know, laugh at comedy, right? So, you know, someone had said to me recently, it was saying, well, you know, the mood swinger character, doesn't that, like, make fun of women being moody? And I'm like, if it'd been a dude, then it doesn't matter. I mean, the joke is funny, right? I don't ascribe to that. So I think the one thing about Sidekick is you can just kind of unapologetically laugh at it because it's absolutely stupid and it doesn't give a shit.
There you go.
More of that.
We need more of that right now. Just yeah. So keep doing your thing, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
And Paul, where do you like people following you on social media?
People can find me at my Paul Jenkins on X. I think I'm Paul Jenkins Writer on Instagram. That kind of reposts anything that I put on Facebook. And that's generally it. I'm not a massive social media person, but I'm getting better at it because everyone I work with tells me I have to. So.
Yep.
And are you on Blue Sky yet?
I am, but I couldn't even tell you where I'm at.
Okay, no worries.
I think I tagged you on Blue Sky. So.
I am on Blue Sky, and I'm very sorry because I don't know because I just don't have time to do social media. So
it's all good.
One place. I wish I'm going to have to get that thing where it posts something on X and it posts at the same time on Blue Sky.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll do a quick rundown. So you all know where to find me. Just check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And we will kick it over to Jar Jar.
Hey, great time this week. Thanks again, Paul. This was great. Sorry about all my internet problems in the beginning. You can find me on Facebook and sometimes on Instagram from time to time. I do have a Blue Sky, but like Paul, I have no idea what it is. That's about it. Drew? Oh, Carrie. That's what I meant.
Carrie Sanders over on Facebook has the links to all of my other links. I use it like my link tree. You can find me here with these lovely gents every Tuesday and sometimes other days of the week. You could also find me over on the Owleye Network, which is a part of the Dorkening, doing different story interviews or storytelling type of podcasts. We also do one, Tomb of the Terrible, where we review terrible B movies. And I write things, and you can find those in my links as well. So just find me on Facebook. Yes, I'm old-fashioned, but I don't understand the newer stuff either. So, yeah.
Mr. Drew.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We had a great time with Paul, acting like he's not in the room right now, but he totally still is. We had a great time. We hope you did as well. Stay tuned tomorrow because we're going to be doing a separate show that's going to cover all of the news that we got from San Diego and a couple of other things that came in. And after that, that's it. So, as in, that's concluding July. And we won't have a show next week because we're going to be getting ready for Terrificon. It's finally here, so all of us are going to be busy getting ready to deliver some top-tier content. And let me just tell you, get ready. It's going to be awesome. May I say terrific, maybe?
Some would
Yeah,
say.
matter of
Yes,
fact,
it
the backdrops came in today for the interview booth. So
There you go.
Very nice.
a lot of fun. Yeah, with that, we'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody.